The final card of the year is finally here. It's also the final card of the ESPN era if you do buy it and you don't just illegally stream it like everyone else does. So I guess you can cancel that after this card, but it's full card prediction time, so let's just get straight into it. So the first fight of the night will be Alan Fry Jr. versus Pat, something Pat. And trying to find footage for these two was extremely fucking difficult. Like, the only footage I was able to find was Fry's fight, where it was literally recorded on an iPhone, cage side, literally just outside the cage. And then Pat fight, thankfully, had LFA fights, which tells me two things. He's fighting better competition than Fry is, and it also tells me that he's fighting semi-decent competition. Maybe, kinda. While Fry just seems to be fighting these bums, and he got controlled by this bum for a majority of that fight before knocking him out. And at least with they had very, very similar fights. How they went, they both got control, taken down a few times. Pat got up a couple of times and then finished him in the third round, while Fry knocked out his opponent in, like, I don't even know what round, but he knocked out his opponent, I think, in the first round. It was a 3-minute video, I remember that. But neither of these two are UFC level. Neither of them are. And it's pretty much a free, easy KO. And I will be going with the Pat guy. But I have no idea if this is, like, Don Fry's son. So that could be a thing. Maybe he's just better than we know. But I'm going to go with the Pat guy for now. And we'll just see how good this Fry guy is. If he is Don Fry's son, But let's just move on. So there's a lot of garbage fights on this card. There's a lot of filler fights on this card. So I'm just going to quickly go through them. You'll notice a pattern here of who's fighting here. And, so we're just going to continue this on with Jamie Lane Hall versus the bitch in the red. I'm going with Hoff. No particular reason, I'm just going to go with Hoff. On to the next fight, which is Melissa Croydon versus Santos. I will be going with Santos because Santos is ranked and this other lass is not ranked. I believe she's ranked number 5. Anyway, moving on. Moving on to the next fight, which is Amanda Lemos versus Gillian Robinson. I will be going with Gillian Robinson. Let's just move on. Moving on to the next fight, which is two fat rejects fighting it out for the last hamburger in McDonald's. One looks like a saggy ball sack. The other one is just fat. And one lost to Junior Taffer. The other one beat a 3-2 guy in the Contender Series. So, yeah. I don't even know. I think Sean must have taken a short notice fight against Junior Taffer and got knocked out. So yeah, and because of that reason, I'm forced to choose Stephen Asplund. And he does have a very questionable physique. Yeah, I'm just going to choose Asplund and just be over with it. Let's move on. We're now moving on to the next fight, which is Neil Magny versus Yaroslav Amosov. And Amosov is kind of like the hardcore's favourite. Like, I see a lot of people on Twitter trying to, like, choose Amosov, trying to be more hardcore than people. But in my opinion, I'm choosing Neil Magny. And I'll tell you why I'm choosing Neil Magny. I'm simply not impressed by Amosov at all. Like, what? So he lost to Jason Jackson in 2023. He had a 2-year layoff. He was back in March 2025 and got a first round anaconda choke over Curtis I don't remember pronouncing that, who's 21-10 losses. Really? It's just like, no. And even when I was watching him fight, he just kind of got put on the back foot really early by Jason Jackson, and he just kind of kicked the legs off him. And Amosov, when he was getting the legs kicked off him, really had no answer, and he just kind of backed up. And yeah. So, and Neil Magny is a very similar fighter to Jason Jackson, minus the power. So, I don't know. it's a close one, but I'm choosing Neil Magny just because I kind of want to go on a rampage after he wins and call out all these fake hardcores for just choosing the regional guy and being like, yeah, that guy's a monster, that guy's a monster. And if Amislov wins, it'll probably be like some boring decision where he just lays in half guard. As I'm thinking, but yeah, I think Neil Magny's personally going to win. That's what I think. Personally, I think Neil Magny's going to win, and I think it'll be a decision. But let's move on. Moving on to the next fight, which is Joe Anderson Brito versus Isaac Thompson. I will be going with Joe Anderson Brito, don't get me wrong. I'll be honest, I haven't watched any footage on Isaac, so I don't know how good he is. But I'm going with Brito because I think Brito is a type of fighter where you need some sort of training camp for him. You don't just take it on a week's notice and be like, yeah, I'm going to beat him. You're not going to beat him. So yeah, I'm going to go with Joe Anderson Brito. Watch him lose now because I said that. But yeah, I'm going with Joe Anderson Brito on probably a knockout. On to the next fight, which is Bobby Green versus Lance Gibson. And I tried to look for footage on Lance Gibson. Nowhere. I found one video where the camera angle was practically looking at the ceiling and I could just about see their heads bobbing. And from what I saw, the very little I saw in this 1 minute clip, Lance Gibson seems to just be one of those fighters where he taps the leg kicks and kind of like, just, yeah, I don't know, it's one of them fight styles where he just taps leg kicks, moves around a bit, another tappy leg kick, another one, and the other side, the other one, you know what I mean? And it's just like, okay. So, yeah, I will be going with Bobby Green. I haven't seen enough of Lance Gibson, and the little I have seen of Lance Gibson, he doesn't seem UFC level. So I will be going with Bobby Green to win this fight. On to the next fight, which is Costa versus Morgan Charrier. Now, this is a very sneaky good fight on the card. This is probably one of the better fights on the card, to be honest. And as well as that, it's probably one of the 50-50 matchups on this card as well. And I don't know who I will be choosing. I've got my notes, I just don't know who I'm going to be choosing because I do see Costa's oblique kicks being a problem and his long-rangey striking style from southpaw being a problem for Charrier. But at the same time, I could see Charrier's entire striking game just being a problem for Costa. And at the same time as that, I can just see Costa mixing in the takedowns and clinch work. So I really don't know. I just don't know in the slightest. What I have noticed is Costa likes to fight at his own pace. And is if Morgan Charrier goes in there the same way he did against Late Landwehr, he should probably beat him. But I don't know who I'm going to edge this towards. I think I'm going to go with Morgan Charrier, but I also like Costa's activity too. I think he's had 4 fights this year, 3-4 fights this year, which realistically should be normal for fighters. But you know, it's 2025 for fighters, and they pretty much have rights now, which disgusting. They should be fighting 6 times a year and just take all the brain damage. But I'm going to go with Costa. I'm going to see he puts the pressure on him, defends any takedowns. But it's a really close fight. Let's say split decision. Anyway, moving on. On to the next fight, which is Cesar Almeida versus Onaniche. Oh, fuck, I fucked it. I thought I had it. I didn't have it. But he has a brother in the UFC. He fights in the Fighting Nerds, and he's actually pretty decent. He's off the Contender Series. He's very fast, southpaw, gets the outside foot position, jab cross, outside foot position, knocks the guy out. A bit of a weird stoppage on the Contender Series where the referee decided it was a back of the head shot, even though he was out cold and they were perfectly legal. But yeah, and Cesar Almeida, he is a good striker. He fights a little bit like Alex Pereira. He's more like a flat-footed Alex Pereira. But my main thing is with him, he also kicks the same as Alex Pereira. I think they train at the same gym. And he's very accurate with his shots. But he starts really, really slow. And going up against someone like I'm not pronouncing it. I'm not pronouncing his name. The guy on the right. Going up against the guy on the right, he's really fast to begin with, and I do just think he's going to get a really early finish before Almeida can get his reads and start piecing him up. He's going to counter him early, and yeah. Another fun fact: Cesar Almeida, he fought on the first fight of the year, and he's fighting now on the last card of the year. There's a fun fact for you, but I think he will be losing this one, so unlucky for him. But let's move on to Kevin Vallejos. Now on to the co-main event of the card, the last co-main event of the ESPN era, which is Giga Chikadze versus Kevin Vallejos, and I will be choosing Kevin Vallejos. A good description of Kevin Vallejos is like he's kind of like a stiffer version of Ilia Topuria. And one thing I've noticed is that he has great leg kick counters. If you want a good fight where he shows that off, it's against that Asian dude, his UFC debut. His last fight against Danny Silva was a little bit shitty. He did really good in the second round, and in the first and the third, he was kind of getting pieced up a little bit, or reacting to the fakes that Danny Silva was throwing. I do feel like Danny Silva was more focused on taunting Vallejos instead of actually fighting him. You know, I don't know, he was trying to like clip farm, but it was just shitty. And he was clearly losing, but there was moments where he was landing like good shots and then like pivoting out the way, where Kevin Vallejos was just getting pieced up. But then there's also moments of like Kevin Vallejos like hitting him with like 3-piece combinations. So yeah, it was a close fight, but it was a clear 30-27 decision to Kevin. Yeah, and as well as that, when I was talking about that KO, the leg kick counters, he actually got a KO with the leg kick counters. That was his actual thing. And even though Giga Chikadze is a lot faster for a 35-year-old, he does get countered a lot, and his entire style is kicking. And I do believe that Kevin Vallejos is going to kick him when he's getting his legs and arms kicked, and he's going to counter with him, and I think he's going to KO him. I do think Kevin Vallejos will KO Giga Chikadze in the second round when Giga goes for a leg kick and Kevin gets his timing down in the first round, very similar to Kevin Onama, and starts countering him with the right hand. Why am I stuttering? It's not hard to say. And yeah, do I think Kevin Vallejos is unbeatable like I used to say? No. No. He is pretty beatable. I think the Danny Silva fight proved that a bit. I rewatched it and I was kind of like, you should be beating this guy. And I do think if Danny Silva focused, he might have got that decision instead of clip farming. But I do think he will knock out Giga Chikadze. I do think that. Yeah, but let's move on to the main event because it's kind of interesting. On to the final main event of the year and the ESPN era, Brandon Royval versus Manel Kape. And this one's a really close one, but a really good main event. And I will be going with Manel Kape. I wasn't originally going to go for Manel Kape after watching his fight with, what was his name? Felipe Dos Santos. Because Felipe got cut and they had a really good competitive fight for the first 1.5 rounds until Manel Kape got all his reads and then started piecing him up for the last half of the fight. And I think he's going to do that again. I think he's going to put Royval on the back foot. He's obviously got his combinations, his typical boxing combinations, getting past the shoulders too. He does that really well. We can see that in the Asu fight, which was his last fight. He steps on the outside to set up his rear hand because he's a southpaw mainly, but he does switch his stances quite a bit. And the more I was thinking about it, the more Manel Kape I think wins, because I do find it when someone's 5'9" fighting someone who's really short, in Manel Kape's case, who's 5'5", it's so hard to hit them because they're like a fucking bee. They're like all around. They're everywhere. They're like a fly. And I do think Manel Kape's like that. Now, was that Asu fight a bit overrated considering Asu decided to not throw a strike and just get repeatedly punched in the face and have his takedowns repeatedly stuffed? Yes. But is Manel Kape still good? Yes. And he gets his reads later on in the fight. So because this is a 5-round fight, if this was a 3-round fight, I'd choose Brandon Royval. But because it's a 5-round fight, he's going to get on and on and on. And I think he's going to piece him up towards the end of the fight. And yeah. And with Royval, I do just think he is kind of weak for the division. I know it's flyweight, but if you let me explain, give me a second. When he comes up against like guys who are kind of strong for the division, Pantoja is another example, you can see him struggling. Manel Kape is one of them. Manel Kape also has Mad Gyno, if you look at him. So as well, he could be on roids, or he could just be a fat bastard and have weird sugar levels. Yeah, sugar levels. And he could have a confidence boost after Van winning the belt, winning in quotation, because he had a really close fight with. Well, not really. It was really close, but it was a clear Van decision, and anyone calling it a robbery is pretty much retarded. But I do just think Manel Kape, I think he's going to get them reads and he's going to counter. And because it's southpaw versus southpaw, him switching the stances and getting the outside foot position up to set up his right hand would be really good. He mixes up strikes against the head body on the fence, which was really good. I saw that. That was like almost Ilia Topuria-esque, but like at flyweight, where they're on the toes, and it's even better. And it's like, Manel Kape has looked really good in his last couple of fights, but I don't know if I can say confidently he is better or his opponent's just terrible. Because Bruno Silva, let's be honest, he isn't that good anymore, right? And Asu, yes, is really good, but cannot strike in the slightest. And it's hard for me to choose based off that, and looking at the Felipe fight where, let's be honest, it wasn't the most impressive performance by Manel Kape. He should have probably dusted him up. But we do know Felipe dos Santos is good. We do know that. I know he's lost, but who's he lost to? Kavna, and there's another guy he fought as well, and Kape. Those are good guys to lose to. He is a good fighter, and I do think we'll see him back in the UFC at some point. He just got very terrible opponents, and some people get that, while certain fighters, Dagestani fighters, get fucking CM Punk in their debut, essentially. So, yeah. And Manel Kape still went to war with him for the first round and a half, and then he pieced him up towards the end because he got his reads. And I think as the rounds go on, you'll see him get more and more dominant. Do I think he finishes Royval? No. Do I think he's going to badly rock him and drop him at times? Yes. And that's what I think is going to separate the rounds. Because what Royval does essentially is he overwhelms you with his volume, which could get Kape when he's doing all his head movement shit with his hands down. He could get head kicked or something, but I don't think he will. And as well as that, sometimes he uses way too much volume to the point where it's detrimental. Like, sometimes you've got to literally put your feet down and just throw a really hard shot, which Royval never really does that often. He'll throw like a semi-hard shot, but then he won't kind of put his fucking whole hip into it. Because, I mean, to be honest, he doesn't do it because he's fighting grapplers, but he did the exact same thing against Joshua Van. So, yeah. But I'm going to go with Kape. I think he's going to get the read as it goes on, like I've already said about 10,000 times. And I think he's going to get a really close 48-47 decision. Now, I could be wrong on that. But, yeah. I do really think that he's going to win this fight. And I am worried because this is a super close fight. But I've just seen Royval get, like, when it comes to fighters like this, like, even Joshua Van was getting pieced up at times, but because he had that power advantage, he rocked him, And that's what would pretty much win him the fight, because he'd come in on a straight line, and then Joshua would hit him with something, rock him a little bit, and then he'd come back in with a couple of shots, but those shots weren't as hard. He's kind of pillow-fisted his Royval. Manel Kape isn't, and I think it's going to go very similar to that fight. But, yeah. But that is the end of the video, so like, subscribe, and remember to cancel that ESPN subscription straight after this card. And follow me on Twitter, please. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. I just rage bait Dagestanis all day, and then they send me paragraphs upon paragraphs on how their fighters have been mistreated or whatever. It's very funny, so if you enjoy that stuff, you should follow me. And yeah.